welcome to a ETTO spoiler cast on The Flash. For audio listeners, this is silent, but we're moving our arms very fast. Although it's more like this.
Yeah, it's a lot of
swim.
Just trying to grab the air.
Yeah. Weird. We'll get into that later. But The Flash, which is... No, it's not the last DCU movie. There's kind of one more. But maybe there isn't. But maybe there is. We'll find out when Aquaman comes out. We'll get into all that later as well. If it comes out. I'm Will.
And I'm Sam.
And we've both seen this movie that is not doing very well.
No.
Which is not great for DC, considering, or Warner Brothers, considering they're in, I think it was like $49 billion in debt. So, you know, they're probably hoping to make money.
I mean, I guess it's hard to when half of your audience saw this for free prior to the movie coming out. So
yeah, they made a weird choice.
Yeah.
How many times did you see it before it actually came out?
I only saw it once, but it was like it was a group of like 15. Like, but then you've got like the screenings that happen at like cons and stuff where it's like audiences of like 100 plus people or whatever.
Yeah.
And then these other small, it's like those that were hyped about it somehow got to see it prior to it coming out for free.
For free. So no one's seeing it.
No.
I wasn't going to see it, but Finchy was like, do you want to go see it? And I'm like, yeah, I do. That's an easy in. If someone else asks me, I'll go.
Yeah. It's like, sure.
Sure. And I think that, and we'll be spoiler free for a little bit, that there is a good movie in here.
Yes.
Like, there is a very, very good time travel.
Yeah.
That's not really multiverse, just time travel movie in this that, like, would have been so good. And every couple of scenes, I'm like, oh, acting was amazing. The setup for jokes and the payoff, amazing. But then it just does other things. And I'm like, what? Why have you feel? It's also a very long movie for what it is. There's a very simple idea going on, but it just keeps going. And I'm like, there's a very strong 90-minute Flash movie in here that I wish I could recommend to people, but what I saw, I don't really think anyone should see. Like, I think when it comes out on digital or something, it's an okay at home movie maybe.
Yes,
but I just can't recommend anyone pay to see this in a cinema.
It's a confusing one. Yeah, like, it's a confusing one because I can understand, like, the fan in me being like, no, well, that's bullshit. But, like, after seeing it a second time, I can 100% agree with that to an extent because it's a very confusing movie for the general audience.
Yeah.
Like, if you're someone who's like, oh, cool, a Flash movie. I've seen, like, 2 episodes of that show. Maybe the movie will be like that.
Yeah.
No.
Good luck.
I mean, look, there's things in the movie that reminded me of the show, which was pretty cool. But yeah, for the most part, it's a very like bloated sort of thing. Like we all know that she's in it, but for me, watching it the second time, it's from the point that Supergirl comes into it. From there, it's just a little bit like all over the place. But prior to that, a lot of fun. It's
decent. Yeah. But it's interesting you say that we're in spoiler territory. You've decided if you want to see the movie or not. It's interesting you say that, the lack of knowledge, because that's, I think, the biggest strange element about this movie, because it feels like the movie that would have come out if Zack Snyder had made his other movies. Like, it feels like I feel like I missed some movies before this came out. Yeah. Because we start in such, like, the opening of this is so fucking cool. Like, seeing the Snyderverse, Batman and Wonder Woman, Flash just work together.
100%.
And when he's like, and he's like, can't you call other members? I'm like, this is sick.
And they're like, they're busy.
But the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, this is weird. Because all I've ever seen of them is be sad and depressed. And in a movie where that made sense, the Justice League Snyder Cut makes sense for them to be that way. Yeah. But I never saw them be happy. So it's strange that this movie starts with these characters in a place where they've really never been.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a thing for me, because when I was watching that, I was like, oh, this is cool. It's kind of like they're showing us again, like, what this group is like as a team. But we never really got that because the only movie we got of that was them trying to build that team and trying to work together. It's like the vibe and the feel that this first like 10 to 15 minutes of this film gives is like what you should be showing us after we've had maybe like a Justice League, a sequel, and then maybe one or two other movies where 2 or 3 more members join forces to help out each other. It's like it's the sort of thing where it's like, hey, you know, the band is back together. Isn't this fun? But I'm like, it would be fun if we got more of it. Like,
they haven't released a single. This band is fresh to me. It's strange, but it's also cool, but it's sad because, like, you know, even entering this movie, we know that this is it. That we'll probably never see them all together. And that's the thing that hurts the most about this movie is that it shows you, like, 3 different versions of DC that could be the future, and none of them will be it.
No.
So by the end of this movie, I was like, what was this for?
Because when I first watched it, I did really enjoy it on my first watch. I'm not gonna lie. I think partially because I'm like a DC fanboy at heart. It's like there was a lot of things in there that I appreciated. A lot of things I'd like heard rumors about. It was like, okay, well that's cool to see if that did or didn't, you know, end up being in there. Again, I can see its issues, but when I was watching it, even the first time round, I couldn't help but like not let the thought in of, well, what's the point? It was also a thing of I'm trying to think about what, because I think I did actually say this to someone, but it's a thing of like when I was watching it, and it's the scene where they're on the bridge, and it's like Bruce, Barry and Diana,
yeah.
And I was watching it, and I was like, okay, like this is great, but I was like, what a mess. Because like,
how did we get here?
Like, what a mess to get to this point.
Yeah.
Because like it's really confusing to explain, but it's like, yeah, like basically everything that we just spoken about, like that vibe of like having that team back together, it's there, but it's also barely there because there was such a mess in between this and the Justice League films. Films, because we got fucking 2 of them.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Like, it's so insane to me that a studio allowed it to get this messy in terms of a franchise.
It's crazy. It's cool and weird that they let the opening be that as well. Like, be a reminder of what they're taking away from everyone. It's like,
absolutely.
It's so strange. Because,
absolutely.
like, Ben Affleck's Batman is amazing in this.
Like when he's in the ship and like the door opens up and it's just like the shot from like the cow from the back and the music. I was like, holy shit!
His like theme, in all of his little bits. It's like a blend of the Christian Bale stuff and like the Tim Burton stuff. It's a bit of both, and it's like and like the music in this movie, I think is my favorite thing.
Yeah,
like,
good. It was definitely a thing.
So cool.
Yeah, it was definitely a thing that I noticed a lot. There was like small bits here and there. I was like, oh, this is nice. So I'm glad, because I was like, I know that Will's a score man, so I hope there's some things in there that he can take away from this if he didn't like the film. At least there's some music where he's like, that'll be good in the car at one point.
Totally, like because I think they kind of use the piano as Barry's kind of sound, and it's just this like fluttering of keys and stuff. And, beautiful. Like, I can't knock the soundtrack. I can knock some bits of the soundtrack, but we'll get there. Okay. But yeah, it's like Ben Affleck's Batman, especially considering what we get right at the end of the movie. I'm like, it's weird that you're not keeping him. Like, he just feels like the right person of literally of everyone. Yeah. He feels like the only person that you could keep around.
Well, because it's also a thing where, like, they have since filmed and taken away his role in Aquaman. So, because I think the way that the ending went was that it was meant to be him, and we'll talk about more of it later on, but it's not him now.
No. Well, I think it was meant to be him, it was meant to be Keaton, and it was meant to be who we ended up getting, which is fucking wild.
Insane. Absolutely insane.
I liked the humor in this movie, but speaking of the opening, I like the lasso. It's weird how many times the lasso of truth or whatever has been used as a comedy crutch, but it was Barry saying, "I know what sex is" or whatever. It was pretty funny.
I know what sex is. I've just never experienced it.
It was very funny.
Yeah, no, like there are definitely like some really good like moments of comedy in this. Like, you know, moments where both times I was watching it, like you've got people like laughing out loud.
Yeah.
I didn't find it that funny, but you did have a bit of a chuckle here and there.
Yeah, a little chuckle.
But no, it's good. It's good.
It was pretty good. I mean, we might as well specifically talk about Ezra because it's a big part of both this movie and the world.
Yes.
It's hard to put aside whatever is happening with Ezra Miller. Yeah. They've obviously gone through a lot and they obviously need a lot of help. Like, that's as much as it's like wild the things they've gotten up to and there's jokes and silly things, they need help.
Of course.
That's a big thing. But it's very strange watching them in this movie as Barry because there are so many moments in it that have aged poorly.
There's so many that have been put on rewind onto TikTok, and it just makes like you look at it, and you're like, oh, that didn't age well. But like besides all that, I think they did do an amazing job in this film, movie. Considering they're playing like two versions of Barry.
Yeah.
And both of them, when they're on screen together, are so different. Yeah. It's genuinely two different people. It's like, I mean, I don't know if this sounds bad, but it's like everything in your head that you know they've done, you literally just like forget about when you're watching this movie because they are literally giving the performance of a lifetime for them at this point anyway. Yeah, totally. And it's a really, really like well done job. For sure.
It's so good. And like I liken it, it's like Marty McFly Jr. and Marty McFly. Like that's what it feels like. Yeah. Like the same way. Just like I remember as a kid watching watching Marty's son, and I kind of thought it was a different actor.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Just the way, because I think they dull his face down and make him a little bit smoother and stuff. But like that's how I felt watching this. Like you totally slip into so just like
true. Yeah.
These are two different.
That's so true.
I will say, and it's a bigger discussion to be had, the CG lets it down at times. There's times where one of the two is just this rubber man, and it's like, what's happened there? Yeah, which is hard. Like, it is hard, because it's like, the early stuff when they're outside Barry's home and stuff was easier to kind of block and make sure it's easier to cut screens. But as the movie goes on, there's a lot more movement, so they must have just gone, fuck it, we'll deep fake and work it out later. And the later scenes is where it's like a lot more apparent that there's doubles and stuff like that. But I think of the visual effects in this movie, that's the least jarring thing.
Absolutely,
I mean, it's still early on in the film. He enters the Speed Force and does the time travel-y thing. And I think that's really where the CG is at its worst.
That was the thing for me when watching it the first time where, like, I was like, oh, interesting. Like, in terms of what was happening. But as soon as you get the first glimpse of CG, I just went, oh, no. Because I knew for a fact that if it was like that at that point, it's going to be like that for the rest of the movie in other points. Yeah. So I was just holding on for dear life.
Yeah. It's strange because the setup for that is really visually interesting. Yes. When Barry enters the like time travel-y Speed Force, it's this cool little bubble, and it's like there's sand beneath his feet, and it's like the sand's making the images. But like that's what I'm kind of envisioning, because he kind of kicks up dust. And
yeah.
But then I'm like, why aren't they like the Man of Steel Kryptonian like dusty things? Because if he did that, then it wouldn't matter that they look weird. It's just weird that they go for like Henry Cavill, but like a gummy man. It's like, why?
Just a trolley version of Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. The one thing about all that I've found, that I recently realised that a lot of like the Snyder fans are kicking up a fuss about.
Yep.
I don't really care because I didn't really notice it first time around, but the more I thought about it, I was like, oh, okay, look, they have a point. When we see Barry trying to break timelines in BVS when Bruce is asleep. And it's like he's finding it really hard to get through and just to try and get a few words across. And that's while he's meant to be using the cosmic treadmill. It was kind of a thing where fans are like, why was it so hard for him there? But in this, he can just do it so easily without any practice. Oh, don't even get me started on that. That was the scene from Love and Thunder where the kid pops his head through. I was like, they've just done the same thing. It's gonna be the same meme. People are gonna make fun of it. But yeah, so there was things like that where a lot of fans are just upset that it hasn't been very consistent amongst films in terms of like what they can do and what they are, you know, capable of.
Especially because in this film, it obviously references the Snyder Cut.
No, 100%.
Like when you did the thing and
100%. Yeah. So they mentioned that, and then Iris also says to him, "Did we not see each other a while back?" And that would be the scene when he saves her from the car crash. With the hot dogs in the pockets and stuff, you know? So, yeah, like, the Snyder verse of DC is very much, like, realised here. And it's very much, like, where this movie is placed. So, yeah, it's just... Again, it's like... So much has happened in this franchise, and it's so hard to keep up that I think the people making the content for this don't even know what to do.
I think it's a bit of a multiverse of madness situation where, like, Sam Raimi's like, I didn't watch anything else. I just made this movie. It's like, I don't care. I'm just going to do what I'm doing. And other people of outside sources have been like, you should include this line to reference. But in terms of
he's like, but why?
The content. But why? I'll just chuck it in there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, look, despite the visual stuff of all the time traveling thing, it's a cool, interesting... like idea, the way that the bubble exists and the way that like time unravels around and stuff like that. It does look cool conceptually. It's just the execution is just a bit weird.
Yeah, just and I think especially because it was a thing I was saying to you. Because when I first saw this, it was a thing where I was like, I need to talk to Will about the CG, even though he hasn't seen it. But so that whole like speed forcing, the thing I was saying to you, where it's like they could have just had actors stand on a soundstage with green screen and add all that shit around them. It's like it didn't have to look bad. If anything, that probably would have been cheaper for them, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Like
just comp it all in.
Than having to 100% render a person. But I don't know.
I also love, and look, we'll talk about cameos later. And that's where the biggest problems lie. But when they reveal Henry Cavill in the Justice League scene, it's a big moment. Like, it's like, hey, here he is. It's like, no, but he's just a CGI guy.
Yeah, like, that's exactly what I thought as well. I was like, oh, Henry. But then I was like, no, like 100%. Like, they wanted it to be a big moment, but it's really not. Because, like, it lingers on him. It lingers on him for a little bit. And I was like, you guys aren't doing what you think you're doing.
Not at all. But... That is what it is. Like, the performances with the Barrys are really cool.
Yeah.
I find, like, talking on we don't, like, entering this movie with no knowledge, I think it's cool to a point. Like, I think it's a really cool idea that the film basically acts as an origin story for the other Barry, which gives us the origin story for our Barry. It's like... They don't retread. True. They don't do Homecoming and just... Well, they do Homecoming of like, he's already done it, but they also give you a new origin story inside, which is cool. Yeah. And again, would be really cool if Ezra is ever in another movie, but they won't be.
I mean, who knows? Like, it's just... maybe. It's... Yeah, I don't know. But no, that is a good point. Yeah, I did actually think about that, but yeah, it's a very interesting way of doing it without just having to, like, rehash the same shit over and over again.
It's like it's. I mean, in some ways, it's like Spider-Verse. It's like having Peter B and Miles, and it's like Peter B's like, I got to walk you through the steps and get you to where you need to be. Yeah. At the Flash. Yeah, and I think that was cool. Like, I think my favorite scene of the whole film is the aftermath of Barry losing his powers when he tries to phase through the wall and it's just like slipping. Because it's great because it means that as an audience we're watching Ezra do his stupid Flash run in real time.
In real time, like, that's exactly what I thought of. Yeah.
I wish the whole film I wish the whole film was that small in scale. Yeah. Like silly, fun moments
just a simple thing,
Because Sam, how do you feel about Zod in this movie?
Well, the thing that I'm still trying to figure out, and I don't know if we can come to a conclusion, because we were speaking about this in terms of, is this a timeline thing or a time travel thing? Sorry, I should say like a multiverse thing or time travel, Because for Zod to show up in Keaton's universe...
Yes.
Because, like, are we assuming we're in Keaton's universe?
Well, I don't think we are. I think it's this weird thing the movie sets up of he changed one thing and it changed everything.
Yeah.
And because he changed everything, Batman is now Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
But I think in this universe, it's still Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah,
like
okay.
it's a merging of things, but I don't think it's supposed to be the Tim Burton universe.
Yeah.
Like, because he doesn't really feel like Michael Keaton. And I know you've not seen
No,
the
no,
movies,
that's fine. That's all
but
right.
he doesn't really feel like the
Yeah.
same Batman. Like he
Okay.
feels like Michael Keaton doing a Batman.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like specifically that universe. It feels like, you know, like multiverse stories kind of do. They just pull
Yeah.
different ideas and
Yeah.
blend them into one. So I don't think he ended up in Michael Keaton's universe.
Yeah.
I think by changing the one thing he changed, it broke everything.
Yeah,
basically.
okay. All right.
I think.
Cool. Anyway, back to Zod. No, yeah.
I don't
No,
fucking
yeah, yeah.
know.
No, yeah. No,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was an element of it where I was like, I'm still just confused about it because he tries to explain like
yeah.
the thing with the spaghetti.
Which I quite liked. I
Yeah,
quite
okay.
liked the initial thing of spaghetti strands. I was like, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
But then
yeah,
it just
yeah.
got messier.
It just got messier, yeah. But yeah, no, with Zod, like, it was really cool seeing him back because I still think he's one of the best, like, DC villains that they've done in a while. Like, I didn't at all hate it, but I was kind of like, when it got to the point where Kara sees Zod kill the soldier and start that all-out brawl on, like, the airfield, I was kind of like, well, that's just too, like, convenient.
Yeah.
Like, that was the one thing. Because other than that, like, Zod,
Did you like
Zod
the
doesn't...
retcon of, like, he found soup on the way and all that
When I was watching it, when he's saying to Kara, you know, we found your cousin, Kal-El, like, we found him, I was like, holy fuck, is there a version of Superman that's about to show up but be like a version that Zod has made his son and he's like a corrupt version and like him and Kara are going to fight it out?
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit. And then I just thought that a version of Superman would show up in general at that point.
Yeah.
But then he's
Totally.
like...
That's where I thought we were going.
But then when he was like, you know, the infant's fucking dead, I was like, okay, well, don't worry
Sick.
about that. It just got very dark in my room. So let me open these blinds for a second.
It's dark in your room and in the film. Like,
Yeah.
Because the thing with me, with Zod,
Yeah.
is that I think he may have been introduced too early in the movie.
Okay.
Because
It's
the
very
film has-
sudden.
Yeah, it's sudden and very early in the thing.
Yeah.
And then the film has zero stakes whilst also having him as a villain. Because the whole time they're like, we've got to get this done. But he shows up, Barry's like, he's going to do a thing.
Yeah.
And then they never address it for like an hour and a half. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm not like, fuck, they need to get things done because
No.
you're not showing Zod do anything.
No.
And so it's like, it was an interesting idea, like
Yeah.
merging the timeline and stuff. But
Yeah.
it felt like either he is introduced later or we cut back to him and see him terraforming and doing
Absolutely.
stuff. But
Yeah.
he was just not a villain. He was a punching bag at the end of the movie.
he
basically.
like, and that's the thing I thought as well. Like, he was kind of just there.
Yeah, strange.
Like, it was cool to see like that Man of Steel-esque sort of like storyline come back and have Zod and the others and all that. But yeah, I don't know. Like, again, like I thought he was fine being in it, but it just felt very empty and very like two-dimensional in terms of what they did with him.
Cool to introduce the idea that Barry was there. That I didn't see that coming.
I
That was
really
cool.
liked that though. I really
cool.
liked that because it's just something to sort of like world build what was already there, I
Totally.
guess. Because I did like that. I didn't really like how Barry had that mindset of I could only save that one person because I was like, first of all, could have saved a lot more. I know
you're the
that
Flash.
I know that there was a lot of shit going on, but you could have said a lot more. But I liked it in the sense that because in the I think it's in the Justice League and the Snyder Cut,
Yes,
but Barry has
the
a
one
moment of
person.
like, I can't do this. I haven't really done this before.
Yeah.
And then Bruce is like, just save one person. It's kind of like, this is more just proving that, he is very, very new at being the Flash.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
But it's also weird because he's done the thing.
Yeah.
Like it's that because that was the thing I had as well. I was like, oh, it's like that bit in the. But I'm like, wait, he got taught to do that there, whereas he's doing it before Bruce
that's
tells him.
fucking true. Yeah.
like it's a cool reference to the idea of save one person.
Absolutely.
But in my mind, and like it kind of works in both ways. But in my mind, I was kind of like, it feels like he's achieved the thing that Bruce tells him to do later. Yeah. So I was like, it's strange. But I did chuckle at the fact it's always the same fucking shot of. It's just
the string.
Yeah, it's always that one.
It's what they just have in archives, and they're like, use that.
That one.
Before we get into the bat in the room, I did want to talk about Supergirl very quickly.
Yes.
What were your thoughts on Kara being in this?
I liked it for the added like something's wrong kind of like you know, if it was just Henry Cavill, would be like, okay, we just got him in the movie. So it's like it's a nice one of the few things that it kind of pulls from Flashpoint in having different versions of characters.
Yes, yeah.
I don't love her in the movie.
Yeah.
Like I don't love how like dark and broody and very Snyderverse-y in her like kind of the way her character is. But I think performance-wise, the actress is awesome, and everything I've seen of her outside of it, I'm like, I'd like her to stick around because she's got a cool look as well. I didn't love where she was at, but it made sense in the movie. Like I just as a character, I didn't watch and be like, she's fun. I'm like, I watched her, I'm like, she's sad.
No, absolutely. My biggest thing about it, and I've said this to you, is that I kind of wish, because they did follow the active Flashpoint in the way that like this like Kal-El or Kara or whatever it has been captured by like the Russians and is being held underground, whatever. I like that. I think it would have just been more impactful if we had gotten a previous version of Superman that we had seen before, just so that it was something for the audience to kind of like connect to more, because as much as it's good having a Supergirl, part of me thinks they just used her for the sake of using her, not because there was any true reason to. I would have really enjoyed if like the super person they found was like a Brendan Routh Superman or something. And it was like, and he was the one to fight alongside them and just have that. Because I think like this isn't just me being like a Superman fan, but like he deserves like so much more being in that role. Like he's so good at it. And I was banking on him to show up at some point. Like when, like that moment with Zod where he's like, we found him. I was like, okay, Brendan, let's go. Come on. But so like other than that, I think in terms of Supergirl, she was also very underutilized. I think that they could have done a lot more with her.
Totally.
Like I think she looked great and she did a great job with what she was given. But I was also kind of like, well, I want to see more of her. So I hope that, and there's already been some rumors and talk about it, but I really do hope that James Gunn does bring her back for the Supergirl film, in one way or another. I think that would be really cool.
Totally.
But I mean, I guess we should talk about your boy, Michael
Mr.
Keaton as Batman again, or not as the one, but A1.
Whatever. This movie's so weird, man. it's so straight. Nothing's straightforward. Like, good on No Way Home just being like, it's the same guys.
Yeah.
Like, we're not gonna make it weird. It's the same guys.
Yeah, exactly right.
I really liked his introduction. I liked the like hobo Batman.
Yeah, cool.
Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
Mainly because it's a very Michael Keaton thing. Like as a performer, like letting him have that as a presence was a nice trait. I don't love anything else about him.
Oh, interesting.
I hate that he's in this movie. Okay. And I think that he's he is everything I feared. Go back to it again. He's everything I feared Andrew and Toby would be in the other movie. He's just around.
He's just around,
and he doesn't do anything. Yeah. And the world building of it being that he's retreated to his mansion and you know, Alfred's dead, all that stuff. And the reason he's not Batman anymore is the city's safe. Yeah. And that makes him sad and alone. Wait,
so is that what you got from it?
Yeah, well, he says Gotham City is now the safest city in whatever. And so why are you the way you are? Well, is it because you can't be Batman? What's the use of being Batman if there's nothing to fight?
Right. Because from that, I got that the city is now safe. I've done my job, so now I can just sort of like chill and have fun and make fucking pasta. Like,
I guess, that's fair.
Yeah, like that's kind of what I got from it.
Yeah, that makes sense. But then he's reluctant to be Batman again, and I'm like, why are you reluctant? Like, are you?
He's just very tired, you know. He's just very tired. No, but no, that's fair. Yeah. No,
and like, I just feel like his reluctancy didn't have a reason to stop being that way. Like, fine if he is reluctant to be Batman, but nothing really drove him to then be Batman. And then the end result of him dying, I was like, why? Like, for what?
Yeah.
Why did you bring him back to die? And this is from someone who wanted either Toby or Andrew to die in No Way Home, and I was disappointed that one of them didn't die, because I was like, do that with a character and make it a dramatic. But they did the opposite of, and it's not spoilers for Indiana Jones, they did the opposite of Indiana Jones, where Dial of Destiny, Harrison Ford's 80 years old, he's not going to be flipping fast and fucking around. And in this movie's like, you know what? You know how Michael Keaton's never moved as Batman ever? He just kind of does this.
We're going to give him all the movement we can.
Yeah, he's going to perform like a fucking video game Batman. I was like, this isn't... What am I watching, dude?
Yeah.
It just felt like it didn't treat his Batman in a way I kind of would have liked.
Okay.
Like, my favorite part of Keaton in this is when he's not Batman.
Okay.
Like, I like when he's got his long hair, his Big Lebowski. I liked... when he was like snarling as he pulled a fucking lever for some reason. Like, I loved all of that. But as soon as he put the costume on, I was like, nah, I'm out, man.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. No, that's fair enough.
I didn't like them, and I didn't like the music. Like, I hated hearing his theme in this, because it felt like, it's why I've grown to like what they did in No Way Home of not having their themes blaring, because it's not his movie. Like, every time the theme played, I'm like, but this isn't for you. Like, this is the Flash movie.
Yeah.
Like, all of his scenes involve both Barrys being incapacitated. Like, Barry isn't involved in any of the Batman scenes because they're like, well, they can't both be important. This has to be the Batman moment.
Right,
it's like, why is Barry throwing up?
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
Like, what's happening? I just, like... the last thing I'll say on it, because I want to hear positives. Like, I wish this film was in the same way Andrew Garfield and Tobey movies. I wish they only had the Flash. I wish they couldn't use any other character.
Yeah.
Because I think that would have fixed 99% of the problems of this movie if it was purely about the Flash.
Yeah.
And they couldn't pull upon anything. But I was super, like, I was never jazzed that he was back. Like, I was like, that's weird and cool, but I also, I hate the get nuts line in this is even worse than I expected.
Really?
It's so weird. Because they're just like,
there's
let's
a long
go.
pause.
Well, because they're like, all right, let's do the mission. And then that cuts to him and he goes, you want to get nuts? And it's like, what the how'd you get there?
But he also kind of like gets himself like ready for it. Like, like, you know... He's talking to Barry, and Barry's like, let's go. And then it just cuts to him, and he like first puts his hands on the railing, and then he kind of like, he shuffles into it, and he's like, do you want to get nuts?
What's happening? Like, this is the thing. I think there is an easy way to have gotten to that fucking line, and it's the same thing that we kind of, and you did at the fucking premiere.
Yeah.
It's Barry they go, let's do the mission. And Barry they both have powers by that point, but younger Barry is like, oh man, I'm feeling so exhausted after all that. And it's like, oh, she needed something to eat. And he's like, yeah, I don't know, like chips. You can make me spaghetti or some nuts. And then he's like, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. And then it cuts to them on the bat plane, and he's eating nuts, and he's like, man, these are so good, Batman. Like a dumb, like, you can have it. I want the line in there. But make it dumb. Like, either make it dumb and fun like that. Because, like, the No Way Home one that fucking blows my mind still is the fact they got, I'm somewhat of a scientist myself, seamlessly into the script. Like, night and day between how to write a dumb line into it. Because it's just like, I don't know, man. I was waiting for it. I'm like, how are they going to get there? And they don't get there. They just put it in the script.
That's so
anyway,
funny.
I didn't love it.
No, like, what I'll say is that, like, being someone who didn't, like, grow up on, like, the Keaton Batman films, I got a kick out of seeing him anyway as a version of Batman. I don't know. I feel like he definitely has, like, a presence to him. Like, when he's on screen, like, I think it's really cool to just sort of see it, like, unravel and him do his thing. I do 100%. Sorry?
I like that he's small. I've always loved that he's not a big guy. Like,
yeah, no, he's just like
when
a
he's
lean
out of the
dude.
suit,
Yeah,
he's just a dude.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
I've always liked that.
Yeah, no, like, yeah, 100%. Like, he's just a man. Like, that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I think for me, I just get very easily excited at like heroic themes and like moments. So like, you know, the moment when they're on like the Batwing and he's explaining that, you know, you're sitting on the seats on the parachute. They're like, "Where's yours?" And then like that theme sort of builds up and he just kind of drops and like the cape flares out. That sort of shit I'm always like keen for. So I was watching that going, "Oh, this is fucking mad." I was like, "Hell yeah." But no, but like part of me also thinks that he was kind of brought into this as a bit of a cash grab. Because I mean, you never need to have someone like Michael Keaton in these films playing Batman again. It's like there's never a need for that. And I think it does 100% take away from it being a Flash film because all the hype, all the marketing was revolving around him being back as Batman. And it's kind of like, but it's a Flash movie. Like, I know they had to avoid talking about Ezra and all that just to avoid all of that mess. But like, I don't know, man. It's just like
it was a weird lead up.
Like you have a marketing team so that isn't a problem. Like figure out a way around that so you can still make it a Flash marketing plan around a Flash film. And yes, talk about Michael Keaton and Supergirl, whatever, but don't make them the core you know, reason to go out and see the Flash. You know,
totally. Well, see, it's also just crazy that he's in this movie, considering that like he was going to be in so much more, and clearly he's now in nothing. Like,
well, and like again, like that just comes to the fault of the people at Warner Brothers because why would you screen the Batgirl before this has come out to explain why Michael Keaton is in the Batgirl? Because that was the whole thing. It was like, we've shown the Batgirl to a few audiences. People don't understand why he's back as Batman. We need to cut him from, you know, moving on past the Flash.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Bizarre. Everything. It's so weird, man. Yeah, I mean, we should talk about the end battle sequence, which I think it's so annoying. I'm sorry. What was it? 2012? Was it Man of Steel 2012?
2013.
2013.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do the math. I'm sorry that all the way back then I complained about the destruction of Metropolis.
Yeah.
Because it has ruined movies. People being annoyed that city destruction is bad has ruined movies because the fact they're on this dumb plane of existence. It's like, if this whole fight, as it did in Man of Steel, if it took place in Metropolis, I think so many of the visual weirdness would have been solved. And I think grounding it somewhere would have been all they needed.
No, absolutely. And I think it would have made for it being a more interesting fight as well, because there would have been more stakes in, well, we need to try and save people at the same time because you've got buildings falling and shit. We need to try and get people out of here while at the same time trying to stop these armed guards of Zod that are trying to, you know, kill everyone and shoot everything. Like, I think it would have even been, because in Man of Steel, you don't see these like armed like guards that Zod has. Like all like these like random people come out of this shit with guns. I'm like, where the fuck did they come from? But I think it would have been cool if they took the fight to the city, like what happens in Man of Steel. But it's more of Barry being like, oh shit, this was that day I couldn't do anything. But now I can.
It's set up.
It's like, but now I can. And then it's like 20 minutes of him running around trying to save as many people as he can while Batman, Supergirl, and other Barry are trying to maybe stop Zod at the same time. Yeah. And it's like I don't know, man.
It's all there.
Because it's so just like that entire scene when they're fighting, there's some cool moments, like you said, like there's cool things you can go back and watch. But it's just blue sky around them. Like it's weird. It's very just bland to look at.
Yeah.
Like very bland.
It's weird. It's almost the exact line that that Barry says at the start of the movie where Alfred's like, Batman's doing this thing. He's like, why is he out during the day? Like seeing the Bat plane in daylight. I'm like, that looks shit.
Yeah.
Like, that it doesn't look shit because it is. It's shit that it's in just broad daylight. It doesn't work like
Which
that.
is why, like, if it was set in the city, like, it still would have been daylight, but you would have had, like, the darkness of the buildings and stuff to shadow in all these moments and just give it a little bit more depth as well.
It's so weird. But, it's so strange. Like, is there a reason? Oh, because Superman brings the fight to the city. Is that what happens?
Because pretty much in Man of Steel, from the moment, so when Zod is on like the airstrip in the Flash, and he says you haven't got anything to bring us. Like, this is now an act of war. In Man of Steel, that's when Superman is there to actually give himself up and be like, I'm the one you're looking for. Like, just don't hurt anyone and I'll do what you say. So from that point on, everything that is driven towards them going to the city is because it's got Clark there to move it that way. So in the Flash...
Because he wasn't there.
Yeah. So in the Flash, it makes sense that it all just kind of happens there. But like, it's so sudden of Zod being like, you didn't bring us the thing we asked for 1 hour ago. You're dead. We're now going to kill everyone. Like, what the fuck?
It's so weird, man. Like, I feel so bad for Michael Shannon. Like, he's talked about how it didn't feel like he was doing anything. Oh my God,
I love
just
that
watching
clip.
him, it's like, fuck, dude.
I love him just talking about, so yeah, like I got the call and they asked me to do Zod again and I was like, but I already did Zod and Zod died. So why am I coming back as Zod? And they're like, no, but this is for the Flash. And he's like, yeah, but I was in Man of Steel. Like, it's just so good.
Yeah, it is the perfect explanation of just how chaos it all is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that fight's weird. The visuals really give up there.
Yeah.
It hurts me deeply that they don't play the Barbie girl song. Like, it's so clear they were going to, and they just couldn't get the rights.
Because what a weird, like one-liner to have if you weren't going to do anything. Because I feel like that one line would have meant so much more if there was, like, a Barbie reference way earlier on.
Yeah.
It's like they just say it.
Like, it vaguely sounds like he says, come on, Barry, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, maybe. But because then that's the start of their call sequence. It's like, they must have got, like, intended to play the song. Yeah. And, like, maybe it's a weird, like, cross-promotion because it's Warner Brothers. Maybe they're like, we want to promo Barbie.
Ridiculous.
But I didn't like that. That was very
fair enough. But I mean,
sorry, just quickly, just weird pop culture references.
Yeah.
I left and came back in a section, and I came back to them making the Back to the Future bit, and that is very funny.
It's so good.
That one got me deep. Like when the guy brings up his thigh,
Marty McThigh,
Marty McThigh, and it's a tattoo of Eric Stoltz. It is like. That is such a dumb, deep cut.
Yeah.
That, like, I'm so surprised that they were like, we'll devote 2 minutes for that one guy.
Yeah.
Because so many people, like, I was with Josh. There's no way in hell Josh knew what was going on.
No.
Like, that would have meant nothing to him. But it's such a fucking... And then when they say other movies, it's like, who was in Top Gun?
So he says, like, because, like, they're talking about the movie, and he's like, Michael J. Fox is Marty McFly. Right. And he's like, no, that's... Maverick in Top Gun. And he's like, the one where he's like, great balls of fire. And he's like doing the bit. And I was like, what the hell?
That was amazing. Oh, God. Yeah. Like, there's some jokes that fall flat, but there's some great fucking
that was a great moment. Great moment.
But sorry, continue.
No, I was going to say, I mean, another moment that is kind of great, but is very, very, very much let down by the CGI is obviously towards the ending, we're getting to the resolve of whatever the hell's going on. And we get a bunch of cameos.
Ooh.
And like the first time round, I was like, oh, fuck, whoa. But the second time, I was like, this.
Wait a second.
I was literally like, this comes out of nowhere.
It's insane.
Like,
man.
There's no build up. There's no like. Because we don't even know what we're looking at in terms of the world's crashing. Like, and there's no reason for them to be crashing.
No.
Like, it's really bizarre.
It's insane.
But we do get, we get a very, I can't remember the name or era, but we get a very, very, very early on version of Superman from like the very
George
old...
Reeves.
George Reeves, that's it. So we get him as Superman. We get Christopher Reeve as Superman.
Yeah.
And
the Supergirl from the movies.
Yes. And then we get Batman 66.
Yep.
Nicolas Cage. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And
is there more?
And the weird Jay Garrick.
That as well. Was there another Batman?
No, I think that was all.
Yeah, okay.
But they're in these spheres, and I'm intrigued to like pause and see what the other lines, because they must be other shit.
Because I'm pretty sure like all the like most of the lines are the same, but then in the background of the same line they're in, there's like there was other things. Like I think I could point out like a few of like the villains and stuff.
Yeah. Cool.
Because I know that with the Batman 66 one, you could hear like the laugh of the Joker and stuff from the show, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Have you heard the news about all that?
No.
About the audio?
No.
I think the sound designer did an interview.
Yeah.
And someone was like, so like, was that cool? Like going into the archives and and they're like, we got them off YouTube. They're like, what do you mean? And they're like, oh, well, we worked out what we had the rights to, and then we just like found audio on YouTube and just cleaned it up and just put it in. I'm like,
But like, if you've got the rights to it,
that's the thing. They were like, we know we have the rights, so we can use anything, so we'll just grab stuff.
But why wouldn't they go right to the source?
You would think so. That's just the lazy element of this whole movie. It's just
Jesus Christ!
It broke me. I love it. I love it. It's so dumb.
I kind of expected most of these cameos.
Yeah.
The only one that was the biggest shock for me was the Nicolas Cage one, which I feel like is the nichest cameo to have in here because a lot of people are not going to understand it.
No, yeah.
Like when I saw this with Sam, my partner, she leaned over and she was like, is that Nicolas Cage? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, why the fuck is Nicolas Cage Superman? And I was like, I'll show you photos later. That's all right. And like, it was cool. But it's just like...
It just means nothing.
It means nothing, and also the CGI is... Apparently Nicolas Cage was there for the filming of this,
That's
and I don't believe that for a fucking second.
No.
There is no way. Like,
because
they reckon that he was there, and all they did was, like, de-age him. There's no way.
No. That's a CGI man.
That is 100% CGI just fucking rendered. Like, there's no way.
Why do they all do this? And I'm sorry, audio listeners, you won't see anything. Why do they all do this?
Yeah.
Why do
the
they all
camera
do that?
just goes around to the back of their heads and shit.
Yeah.
Oh man. Like
I don't understand it.
The Christopher Reeve one was nice.
Yeah. Well,
but
not morally.
No. Like, it was nice to see him paired with the Supergirl of his era and hear a little bit of that theme again. I always like that. But it's like, you're just doing it now for the sake of it. It feels wrong. Also, why wasn't there, like, a Linda Carter as Wonder Woman? Like, what the hell?
Well, did you see that Andy Machetti's like, oh, we wanted to do that, we wanted to do Ryan Reynolds, and we wanted to do something else. And people are like, not Grant Gustin? Did you not fucking think about that?
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
Because there was a thing that came out recently as well where they wanted Christian Bale for the ending.
Yeah,
but he literally, like, refused.
Good.
And apparently it was, like, a 2-month, like, them just going back and forth. And Christian Bale was like, do not contact me again, I'm not doing it.
Good. I mean, to be fair, that would be cooler than what they ended up. Like, what they did is pretty funny, but if that happened, even as someone that doesn't like his Batman movies, I would have been like, wow.
It would have been, like, the best moment of the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If that happened.
Morally, it's fucking gross. And it's just bizarre when there are so many people they could have had. Like, there's so many living people that could, like... You could even actually Dean Cain is a big problem. Never mind. He's a
it's also a thing where they chose from such like a certain era of Warner Brothers and DC. Like, I get they're celebrating like their 100 years, but it's like you do know that there was more of this stuff than in the first like 50 years of Warner Brothers, right?
Yeah.
Like, because look,
Brandon Routh exists.
He's fucking alive, and he still looks the same age. But and like,
he plays Christopher Reeve.
But like, I think 100%.
It's the same person.
Have him be a body double for Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
Plus playing like another version of
another one of himself. Yeah.
But like. Not to be biased, but like you could have incorporated something from Smallville, like similar to what they did in Crisis, where like have Clark be on the farm and like this wormhole opens up and he sees like what's happening. Like you could have incorporated, like again, anything else from the CW.
Yeah.
The Flash, anything, Arrow, whatever. Like, just
who'd have thought that Crisis did a better job than the
Crisis literally
in 100
did a better
years,
job than this fucking movie.
I wouldn't have thought that.
Like,
Yeah.
it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And
Crisis sucked.
so much so that we'll have to do another edit of it. But that's another story.
He's still doing
But
it.
yeah, like, so the cameos were like, okay, it was interesting to see at the time, but just like morally, like,
Weird, man.
very, very weird.
And just, it's structurally is such a strange thing because earlier in the film we get, I guess it's Savitar, right? I mean, it's bad Flash, but it's kind of...
I guess.
It's kind of whatever. Which was, like... Again, I think having any knowledge of the CW show will help you in this movie.
Yeah.
Because without it, when that guy just jumps at the Flash and he gets pushed... I was
you're like, who's that?
The fuck was that?
Yeah.
Like, and even when he comes back, it was like...
But more so because, like... So that happens within the first, like, half an hour. But then... Nothing else happens about it the entire movie, and then he just comes back for the last like 10 minutes, and then that's it.
Yep.
What I will say... No, sorry.
He could have been in the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
Just occasionally, like, weird little blurs or something.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Like, he could have been, like, them trying to make things right, but really he's there trying to make it wrong. So it's like...
Yeah, totally.
You know, like, just have something. One thing I do want to give props to this movie for, though, is that, like, it's got a lot of heart in it when it comes to Barry and his mum. I think all that stuff was lovely. I think seeing, like, how much it meant to Barry that he like, you know, he loved his mum so much and wanted her to be okay that he was willing to fuck up the entire universe to go back and, you know, try to save her, while at the same time trying to convince the world that his dad didn't kill his mum. I thought all of that was great and handled really well.
Absolutely.
I loved like the chat they have at the very end when they're in the shopping center and like they're just talking about like mums in general and all that. So I was like, oh damn, this is kind of emotional. And then I love that the result of that is Barry moving the tomato cans up a shelf.
So good.
Which was like, when it happened, I was like, oh my God, that's so smart.
That's what I mean. There's a fucking sick movie in here.
Yeah, I know. Like, there's so much that can like go right, and it just doesn't. But yeah, so like
that's why I'm like, if you got rid of if it was only a Flash movie, all those moments would be all we would remember.
Yeah.
Like, it would be great.
Like, that was like, so like basically like the family element of the film with Barry and his parents I loved. My other favorite part of the movie was just like some of the visual choices in terms of making things look interesting. Like when, like I didn't think they would include it, but they obviously include the ability that the Flash has of phasing. So when they go to like, I don't even know what the place is called where he works. Is it like a crime lab or something?
Research center? Yeah.
But when like he has to phase through the door and the camera goes right up to the other Barry's eye and you see like the molecules like change. I was like, well, that's like, it's cool. Like, again, like your CGI is shit, but I'm glad that you thought of doing something interesting other than just seeing them like phase through a door.
Yeah.
So like, I love that. Yeah.
The earlier when Barry does it to get the beers and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It was very good. It kind of looks, in the best way, it looks like a video game character clipping through a wall.
Yeah.
Like, that's, clearly they used a bit of that as treatment, because he just kind of clips through it.
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
It's cool.
It's very cool.
Like, that was it. That's one of the many things where I'm like, if you watch the show, you wouldn't be so weirded out. But it's like, it's crazy that you just went, he could do that.
Yeah.
It's like, anyone that knows about the Flash is like, but that's the guy that runs fast.
Yeah.
Like, that's all he does, right? And
but yeah, so like they were like my favorite parts of the film. I do still enjoy it, but it has definitely got issues, and I'm aware of that. Dolphin.
Yeah.
But yeah, so overall, not the best, not terrible, kind of there in between. William, any last words?
I hope
that
this gets a sequel set in the universe.
Sorry, we didn't talk about the fucking ending, but do your bit first anyway.
That's what I want. I want it set in a sequel in the universe that he ends up in, and that maybe there's a trilogy of maybe there's a trilogy of Flash movies.
Yeah.
And they'd all be terrible because they're doing the one thing I don't want them to do.
Yeah.
But each movie has a different old Batman. Oh. And so the next Flash movie is set in his universe, and George Clooney is the Batman, and What's the guy that played Robin? Oh god, my name is out of my head, but he's there as well.
Oh yeah,
like it's the Joel Schumacher universe. With Jason Momoa. What?
So the thing that I'm confused about is that I think in that end, I mean, there's one thing I'm really pissed off about, but in that end credit scene, I think Barry has reverted back to like the original timeline because he's saying to Arthur, like, I went to this other one and there was a new version of Batman. Then when I came back, there was another version of Batman. And, you know, in the other one, you were a dog and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So, like, because people still think he's not back in his correct time. Yeah. But I think in that post-credit scene, I think he is. I don't know.
And somehow he's changed Ben Affleck. Like, that's the one thing.
Yeah. But the one thing in that end credit scene with Aquaman that pissed me off was that because of his abilities, he's not meant to be able to get drunk.
Yeah, right.
And that's like the most, like, that's just
right.
like, that's just read a comic book and you'll know that.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why in the first Aquaman, he's such a heavy drinker because he just can't fucking get drunk. Like, he's hanging out in bars and shit just because he can't get drunk. Like,
yeah,
it's
maybe that's why. Maybe it's a different universe. This
like,
a universe where you can get drunk.
It was a funny scene of him like falling into a puddle, and Barry's like, "I live right here." And he's like, "It's okay, Barry. I live right here." And like, I love that. But it was a thing where when I was watching it, I was like, "Ooh,
that's not right.
That's not right at all."
Yeah, real strange. I'm so intrigued to know where this goes. Like,
like how? Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know.
Like,
man.
It's hard because I'd love to see more of Ezra's Flash.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think Ezra should be acting in the state that they are in.
Yeah.
Like, they should just be getting help and being completely out of the public's eye. And I think they are.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they're doing anything else.
No.
But I would honestly prefer that Gunn is like, here's our new Flash.
Yeah.
Just to get rid of all of that. And just... But at the same time... they're so good. Their Barry's so good.
Yeah. It's tough.
So hard.
It's tough. I mean, I guess it depends on how young James Gunn casts other characters. Because if it's a thing where, like, Barry looks like the oldest one in the group, I'm going to be like, nah, just fuck that off and get someone else, man. Because that'll just create a whole new world of problems. You know?
Yeah, and they don't need that.
No, they don't need more. Just start off this new slate completely risk-free. If you see something that looks off, say something about it and fix it. Don't just leave it for us to talk about it in the podcast and give you better ways on how you could have fixed it, because I'm tired of being let down.
We just want to have pure fun in a DC film.
I just want to have fun, just in a superhero movie in general, William.
Yeah.
Just in general. Please.
I don't want to think. I just
no.
want to have fun.
I want to see Brendan Routh as Superman, but anyway.
I want to see Brendan Routh. Oh, man. Imagine that. Imagine the next James Gunn in his weird little wooden room video, and he's just like, so we talked to so many different people. We interviewed all those people you said we were going to interview and audition, and we just went Brendan Routh instead.
I'll be cheering.
And we're gonna bring back Amy Adams. What? That's weird. Okay.
Well, fuck you, because we're doing it.
Fuck you. We're just gonna do it. We're gonna ruin the timeline again. Chris Pratt is Crypto. I'm excited. This made me want the James Gunn movies just for consistency. Like, no matter, like, but also, I also said this to Josh today in another podcast in our latest episode of The Catch Up. I don't know if they're gonna make any movies. Like, I don't know if Warner Brothers will have the DC IP in the next 5 years. Like, I feel like in the state they're in, with the lack of money they have, I feel like they're just gonna sell it. Like,
I mean,
I don't. They're not making any money, and they're in $49 billion of debt.
Yeah.
Like,
well, apparently,
are they gonna make more of these movies?
Because apparently they're selling off more than half of the rights, like the music and stuff, which is like 500 million worth. So they're getting something back. But
they're not making any money.
No, it's not really a dent. So it's so, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just a very hard thing to think about where they're going moving forward from this movie. in terms of DC, but we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see when Blue Beetle hits in October. I don't know when it comes out.
I think it's sooner.
September. Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's like August or something.
Yeah, maybe.
But that's the next one. That one, apparently, at least the character will continue into the DCU.
Yeah.
Whether that film itself is set in there, because of course, why would it be that clear? But we'll see. We'll see how we go. If you haven't already, let us know on the Discord what you thought of the Flash movie. Let us know, or let us know down in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube. Make sure to tag Sam and say, "Hey, DC boy, we hate you and your movies. Fuck you."
Just join the Discord Sam. And do that for free. I mean, honestly. Yeah. Well, not free, but...
do it. No, give us money.
Yeah. But it'll be more of like, I'll see that more because you can just tag my name and it'll come up on my phone and I'll be like, oh, someone hates me. Cool.
He loves it. He loves it so much. But we love his art. Where can we see that?
Thanks, mate. You can go have a look at that on Instagram at Sam's Studio AU. I missed the cutoff for Oz Comic Con, but hopefully they let me in. We'll see what happens.
Oh, fuck, that's early. Jeez.
Yeah, I know, right? That's what I was saying.
They're not until like November or something.
They closed the cutoff on the fucking 19th.
What the hell? Bullshit.
Anyway.
Bullshit. Until the next time we talk about movies and TVs and games, I've been Will.
And I've been Spaghetti.
Oh, that's good. All right, I'm out.